Sully's like, take this. For Soylent, not that much scoring. It was kind of like generic, I guess. It wasn't memorable. Yeah. It was some like, I guess, well, he had the classical music for the in the
that
end
was
scene.
Nice, yeah. I think that scene from when is it Soul, yeah. I think Soul. From when Soul goes to the exchange or whatever, the place where the rest of the people who keep all the information go, and it's like almost like an intellectual tribunal or something. And you know, there's a cut. We don't know what happens, and it's like, well, now you know, like, how we're gonna get this information out. And he's like, it's like, oh, I have to be with God or something. It's like, I want to be home. God's at home. Yeah. And then he just like marches off to this like
goes to the euthanization clinic.
Yeah. I think that is sort of like the best thing about this film isn't the film itself; it's the glimpses of other stuff that you see.
True.
I don't think the film's kind of like a bit ramshackle in the way that it like, because like, you know, there's random bits where it's like
Cheryl. No, sorry, that's the girl. Is it?
Yeah, Cheryl. Or Cheryl. Cheryl is the quote unquote furniture. I think that's fascinating, right?
Okay, who are we talking about then? Who's old man?
The guy.
Chuck? No. Joseph Cotton?
Could be. Why don't you just Google?
Man.
We'll get over it. We'll just say Soul for now. And then we can figure it out later. But it's sort of fascinating because they have like their apartment. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, I don't know if you were paying too much attention about when like Thorne was going up to his apartment, but it was literally like bodies, like children, adults, whatever, just covering the ground anywhere, like, and he had to like step through it. And there was someone at the top of the stairs with a gun. Like,
I didn't see the gun.
Yeah. And then he opens his apartment door, and you know he's got his like housemate or whatever, and almost like a library. Like there's like the whole wall is just like books.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So it's like,
well, because he's like a police researcher.
I think they actually refer to him as a book or something as well. Like,
as a book. He's a book.
Maybe that's the thing. Like you have your like police officer and then your book. Like everyone has like a team.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the case or not. Like, to be fair, watching this a second time is actually more confusing than the first time I watched it.
Edward G. Robinson.
Maybe the first time I watched it, I was just kind of like under the spell of like, this is the future. This is gonna be the future, you know. But regardless,
Soul Roth. Yeah,
I think maybe the best place to start, and although we've already started, is like the initial montage of showing like
I thought that was poignant.
It was good, right? It's like you have like the birth of industrialization, right? So you have like the train or whatever you call it. It's like horse powered. You have people like the tourist class, I guess you call it. People had money. They were going on holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like fast forward, and there's like the population skyrocketing. Technology has become less like liberatory and more sinister. You know, you have less of like right now we see like sort of like a Wright brothers plane. Like this is almost like utopic looking at it like this. It's like, look at that, look at all the ships, look at all that. This is, and then all of a sudden.
It's very sudden, isn't it?
Yeah, you have just like tons.
Oh, I guess that was like Ford factory, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's like the Model T.
Yeah.
And you see, look at this, just like tons and tons and tons of people. And you have like a sense of like, I don't know how cliche this might sound or whatever, but like...
Well, it's a cliche montage, really.
It is, yeah, it is. It lays it on thick. Like, this whole film is like heavy-handed.
Yeah.
But you have that... What's that? There's a book called The Lonely Crowd, and there's another one called like something to do with bowling, and both of them are to do with like America, and like the great vast population that is America and how lonely everyone feels like in these crowds. Like And so obviously the case isn't like the more people, the better the place. It's like the more people, the more isolated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and I don't really know. This film doesn't really go into it that much. It sort of does with women, especially like the furniture thing, but like it doesn't. I don't really know. Like it does sort of talk about this like isolation through individualism. That is like a big thing in America and Australia. You know, like really the Western world at this point.
Well, the lack of community because it's not required.
Yeah. I think.
And now maybe that's coming back a little bit. As you
right
know,
now, anyways,
with governments not able to sort of provide basic necessities to everyone. So I have seen like small examples of it, I guess, on Facebook and stuff. People being like, "I got toilet paper. Who needs toilet paper?" You know, early on.
One of my housemates set up a thing where they dropped information into letterboxes around the neighborhood and was like, if you're, I don't know, old or like if you're alone in your house, here's a number to call if you would like to speak to somebody. If you just, you know, want to get like human-to-human contact, or like if you're disabled or incapacitated in any way, you can send us a list of groceries and your like address, and we'll get those groceries for you and put them at your door or something, you know. Sort of a funny example of that, and like I've seen this a little bit before with like Japan, but this was in Italy where like the mafia is like helping people with groceries and stuff, and I think they did it ages ago when the government shut down sanitation duties, and the mafia conducted some sort of system where they started taking out all the trash and stuff. So like when like the government sort of fails, and in Italy it always seems like it's failing, communities do spring up.
Yeah.
Especially like organized crime sort of seems like a thing that you kind of associate with like, I don't know, extortion or drugs or violence or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they always portrayed as having that softer side, like they look after their nonna or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it happens with I'm pretty sure it happened with the Yakuza after one of the nuclear meltdowns, or something happened, like there was one of the nuclear power plants exploded, or there was a problem somewhere, and I think the Yakuza were helping out. Like, so although they might be like violent, and maybe they do have a history of violence, they probably do, knowing organized crime, there is also this like small community incentive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like again, like cliched, like showing any image, like a sprawling like panning shot of New York, that feels quite isolating. Just to look at how many people there are, it's like the sea of people almost makes it become like, oh, I'm gonna get lost in it.
Yeah.
You know, like who am I? And you with New York, I guess also famously you have like, you know, Broadway and like cinemas and stuff. So you see the big names, and then there's all just like the great unwashed mass or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And you're that, like, unless you like really think that you're above, you know, you have the talent, or you know, you have the great mind or whatever, you're part of the mass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's good. Like I think it's like, although it's like, you know, cliche, it looks like maybe an Al Gore
yeah, I guess it does kind of remind me of what's his film?
Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah, it has. He has scenes like that in it.
Yeah, he does. Sure. Yeah. I think a majority of probably like environmental documentaries and stuff like that probably do that, because like as like as heavy-handed as it is, it is a good message, right?
Yeah.
But this is when it becomes interesting. Like you have like authoritative police violence. You know, you have like the net of like highways and stuff. You have pollution and like gravestones. It's sort of reminiscent like of there's this documentary by Adam Curtis called The Power of Nightmares, and in it he sort of charts like two schools of thought that emerge out of the same time, and like one of them, and they both come out of this like 70s, 80s, liberal, like super permissive American mindset, like where like you can do whatever you like, pretty much. And whatever you like turned into was like, I don't know, cutting your lawn with scissors so it's perfect, and like, you know, everyone buys like the same car but in different colors, and you know, all these things that seem quite innocuous, but so you have like these two schools of thoughts, and one of them is two schools of thought, and one of them is like sort of like headed by this guy named Leo Strauss, who's like a political thinker, and like a political philosopher, and like studied with Alexander Kojev. Have you ever heard of that person? He did like a lot of like Hegel for our time, sort of like that's how it sort of trickled down again onto us.
Yeah.
But Leo Strauss is like, he invented like the neocons of America. So like his thing was like, so people need like a united front. They need like this thing called like a myth or like whatever. So like religion or like an enemy nation or something. And they need so they need a myth.
Oh yeah, so like anti-Semitism kind of thing. Like you need the evil orchestrating other.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Yeah. Exactly. And then like on the other side, there was like this guy named Said Khatib, went back to Egypt, I think, after studying in America, and was like, we need the same thing. We need, essentially both of their arguments were like, we need a moralizing standpoint so that we don't have people fall into listlessness. Like, you want to be, and his side was like, well, we need Islam. You know, that's going to be, and I don't think that's too crazy considering like on America's side, they were like, we need a Christian myth. So it's the same, you know, it's the same sort of thing. And like,
it's a reoccurring thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because people can kind of get around the religion myths as well. Like, but like, yeah, so I don't even know how we got. Oh yeah, right, the permissiveness, and now you have like, out of that you have just like total like poverty and pollution, and you have these two dudes that just like live in this like ramshackle house together.
I think it's a good point of focus that like he is, you know, he's a government worker, he's a detective, Thorne, and yet he likes, you know, he's a class above the street dwellers and like the people that live in the churches and on the stairs and stuff, but just above. Like
exactly.
he's kind of looking out for them, like in a way.
Well, I think
they're his people, and it comes up later at the end, like they don't help him in the church, but you can tell that like because they're kind of helpless. They got guns.
I was I was waiting for there to be like, because there was a couple of like little cuts in that scene where it looked like people, I thought there was going to be like a real
like a hero. Like the crowd would but it sort of just happened that the people in the church were just like truly like downtrodden, like they would be thrown off their beds, or like they would get like a stray bullet or something, and you know what I mean, like, but maybe just also like too hungry and tired to care. Like that's kind of a realistic portrayal where it's just like, I might get shot, like kind of in fear.
There you go. See, look. If you look at the top, that guy's got a gun in his hands. But
maybe he's like the protector of the entry to Thorne's room.
He might be. There might just be like, we're at capacity and I'll kill you because like there's just so much like human life, like that's just desperate. But I think also another fascinating thing about Thorne's job as a police officer is that he gets shot right in the leg. And
then later in the side, he
gets shot like 3 or 4 different times. He goes on for a while, but like he gets shot in the leg and he lives, and he's like, he goes on like, this is like maybe like 3/4 through the movie, and Cheryl was like, you need to take a day off, you need to go to the doctor. He was like, a day off? I'll lose my job over that. He got shot. Like,
I guess, well, it's because he'll be replaced. I think he says like if he has 2 days off, he'll be replaced basically. And then he won't be able to come back to his job. Yeah,
but like that sort of like lack of insurance, coupled with the fact there's just so many people able to fill that role. Yeah, it's terrifying. And so it's in a sense like what's that? There's like a Kurt Vonnegut book where like everyone has PhDs, and so like it just doesn't matter. Like,
I haven't read.
Yeah, it's play a piano or something like that. I don't know. Everyone's an engineer. Everyone's got an engineering PhD. It's a fascinating thing, but it's like classic Kurt Vonnegut. But I think maybe it's worthwhile talking about this guy who was like on the board of I can't remember what his name is, but he was on the board of Soylent, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The story didn't fully click into place for me because so the greenhouse effect is causing the plankton to die, and because the oceans are warming up.
Yeah.
So so they're making, spoiler alert, they're making the Soylent Green protein bars out of human bodies, even though the public thinks they're made from like nutritious seaweed and plankton.
Because they already have Soylent like orange and stuff as well. Like, there's 2 other Soylent things before, and they look like bread almost. There's a scene in there where they show them and they look like loaves.
Yeah.
Whereas Soylent Green is like, they look like green tiles.
Yeah.
Very foreboding. I love this scene here where they show the piece of meat. I love how there's like a cage around. So I just want to buy some lettuce, and there's a cage around it. But this, look at this, look at that, like the biggest like sort of like underhanded dealing, and the meat looks disgusting. It looks horrible, but it doesn't matter what the meat looks like. It is meat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's the whole assassination scene?
Yeah.
How much sense did you make of that?
Well, he knows that he was going to get assassinated because he's on the board of Soylent, and he must have at some point caught some morals. He must have just been like, maybe he was on the board for Soylent up until they started making Soylent Green, and he was like, don't know. Because
who wants him like obviously the governor guy.
Yeah.
Or not the governor, but the shady glasses guy puts him up to it.
But I think the governor is also on the.
We see the governor on TV, and then he has the meeting with the guy who goes to the peasant with the crowbar, and he's like, "Oh, it's handmade and stuff." Yeah. And then I feel like they didn't explain that part fully because he just like.
There's a lot of stuff that's like left unsaid here. It's kind of just like, we told you it's the government, but also corporations. A lot of that is just like relying on this sort of big corporation anxiety that at the time might have been more implicit, or it might have just been like, because this is a bit of an action film as well. So it kind of like,
I get there's a strong They Live vibe.
Yeah, totally.
Because you have the similar protagonist.
Yeah, who is it? Roddy Piper, right? And it's like a muscle dude. Like it's like a badass,
old school kind of like broad-shouldered, kind of like manly man. Yeah.
Who is it? This isn't Charlton Heston, is it? Who is the?
Yeah, it is.
It is Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's you know the history of Charlton Heston.
No.
Right. Well, he's the head of the NRA.
Oh.
He was like a big like action sci-fi dude. Like he also was the front runner, the head actor in what is it called? It's not
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of Apes, but also
what year are you thinking?
Alpha something. Omega Man. It's Omega Man. Omega something.
What year is that?
Oof.
70s?
Maybe 80s. But I think Omega Man was... There's a Simpsons episode about it as well. There's a Simpsons episode about this film, and there's a Simpsons episode about Omega Man.
There's a 1950 version of Dark City.
Oh, really?
I might have to check that out at some point.
Yeah. Is it Omega Man? Omega... It's like... It's one of those things
I've heard of the Omega Man film, but I'm not seeing that on his list.
100%.
It was in Wayne's World too.
But like...
Tombstone?
I don't know what that is.
This is a classic Western.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a dickhead. He's like, like Charlton Heston is kind of like an asshole Ronald Reagan, who is also an asshole, but is kind of just like covers it up with sweet talk.
Yeah, right.
But I think at this time, like, he is like, because he's like a lawman, right? He's a police officer or a detective or something. But in this scene, like he steals everything. He's like, he goes into the bathroom and turns on the sink, the tap, and he's just like,
he's great in the role.
Yeah,
don't you reckon? Like, perfect. Like,
absolutely, this is a ridiculous film. Like, I think that is like at base, we should acknowledge the like ridiculousness of it.
Similar to Brazil, it grew on me a lot. Like throughout and afterwards, kind of. I like the green hue. It was, they didn't do it all the time, but most just to show like the air is polluted. It's like, it was 1973. They don't know, that many effects.
Yeah,
Like, but
yeah.
it was, it was tasteful.
I think, and it was. So it was certainly like pre sort of Matrix Green as well, where everything's a simulation, like, because I think like now I often think like when I see something with a green hue, and it's science fiction or whatever, I'm just like, Matrix. This is a simulation. This is somehow simulated, right?
Right.
You have like the green
the
of
bright
the
Matrix
screen.
green.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Like there was something so like blasé about his like policemanship. Like he was just like,
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, but well, I think I like his attitude in that. Especially, I mean, I actually found it inspiring in that there's a conversation where one of the guys is like, he tells him how he looks tired, and he's just like really stoic. He's just like, yeah, whatever, like, like hasn't slept, like he lives in this pretty dystopian world, but he gets all the food and gives it to Sol. Like, he doesn't take it for himself or hide it.
Yeah. There's definitely the relationship between Thorne and Sol is like Sol. They're like good friends.
Well, like, but even so, like, he could just, he could still just eat it himself. Like, he's very generous with it, and I like how he stays emotionally removed from the sort of like his shitty life. Like, well, it's not shitty, but like, you can tell he kind of just like rolls with the ups and downs. So like, he's on a bit of a high because like he gets this case where he gets to go to the luxury apartment and get whiskey and girls and stuff.
Yeah.
But
oh man, like when he's like, real bourbon, like, and he like opens the thing, he just keeps the bottle as well. He just like drinks. He's like, oh yeah, like there's something like so fascinating about like.
Oh, that's right. So it's the sanitation squad who come to collect the body, and they're mates. And he's just like, "You look tired," and he's like, "Yeah, whatever." Like he just, it doesn't bother him. He just kind of gets on with shit. Like,
and there's a sort of a strange back and forth where it's like, the same cut. Like, do I still get my 10%? Like, as if like, what is he gonna do with the bodies? If he doesn't get his cut, you know what I mean? It's like, maybe I just chuck it in the side of the road or something. I don't know,
Yeah, true.
Or like, just like fudge the details. I don't really know what the case is, but like, it's fascinating as well. Like, because this is the scene right here with the water where he's just like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. And I guess this is like, they didn't flesh it out as much as they could have, but they kind of allude to it at least twice, where he's more pumped about like old world kind of things than sex or
I think it was
like, they make it blatantly obvious a couple of times,
but they don't really go into it.
They could have done it more totally symbolically agree. But still, it doesn't really matter. Think, like, it's a heavy-handed film, as we said.
Yeah. I think its virtue isn't its heavy-handedness. Like, it just kind of gives you the thing. It's like, make of it what you will. But there's like, I agree with the idea that like, he kind of rolls with the punches, because when he is like in the situation where he can steal a tomato or wash his hands with a bar of soap, he just does that. Like, he just loves that shit. Like after that sex scene with Cheryl, he's just like, could you turn the aircon on? Like, he just like stands next to the aircon. He's like, oh my god.
No,
like,
she seduces him with it.
Yeah,
like, she says that. She's like, we can put the aircon on, and like, you can have I think she says he can have a shower, and he's like, haven't had a hot bath in a while. And he gets super pumped about the bath. Like, he seduces himself by thinking of the bath, and he's just like,
because you have like her, whenever the shot's on her, it's like very like Hitchcockian, like the shadow, and you just see her eyes. Like, it's like a mind trick almost, right? Like a Jedi mind trick. I was like, you want to stay? Like, you're being sucked into like, and like.
But maybe they weren't even doing that stuff in '73. Like, maybe, like, I don't know the director's political views and stuff, but maybe he just thought that everyone would be that pumped for whiskey and smokes and stuff. Like, if you hadn't had that in 5 or 10 years or however long it's been.
Potentially, yeah, exactly. Or if it's just like a symbol of class, as well, and you covered it as much as that, like, so, this is rich people shit. But I would say, like, my argument there would just be like, once you make a piece of art, you don't get the choice on how it's interpreted after that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So like, I like a director's intentions. I like when I find out like, that's cool. But like, at the same time, how we've interpreted those scenes is like.
Well, you also sorry, finish
stands
what
on
you're
its
saying.
own.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, it's worthwhile because we also, if we've both thought of it, then it's there to some certain degree, right? Like,
you were always gonna say like about George Lucas and like editing THX, and so like he's like in a way, you know, he's taken his old piece of art.
yeah,
I guess that, well, it's a grey area. Who knows, like, who owns it once he's released it and put it out in the world, kind of thing. But I guess it's a weird clash with capitalism in that George Lucas puts out the original THX and then, in some people's minds, fucks it up a bit and changes the story a little bit with the digital effects, the re-release in like 2004 or whatever it was.
Was that around the same time that the new set of Star Wars came out? Like
possibly,
1 and 2 and 3? Because I think
maybe a bit later than those.
That, like,
I don't know.
Because you said that his wife was the editor.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that?
No.
I feel like his wife. Someone was telling me that like George Lucas.
I was just reading about some guy complaining that like, you know, obviously you can still torrent the original version, but you can't buy it legally from a store.
Yeah.
Whereas you can buy the new version on
which is annoying.
websites. Yeah.
But I want to run with this thread because I don't know if this is true now, but I'd certainly heard this somewhere. So, in the first trilogy, which of Star Wars, his wife edited them, and so he had someone else out there that was like, "This is good, but we don't need this." But then I heard for the second trilogy, like the prequels or whatever, they got divorced.
Right.
And so he had free reign on it, and that's why it's pretty nuts. So if you also attribute that to
that's
THX,
why it sucks.
yeah. Well, like, you know, I've been listening to those that Chapo thing that's going on right now, where they watch the prequel Star Wars and talk about it at the same time. And like,
but for us,
episode 2
for us,
was one of my favorite ones.
Both being born in 19, well, we're born in 92, so we have a special connection to the prequels, I would say.
Yeah. I think that, but I also
like, I don't hate them. People hate on them, but like, I'll happily watch all of them. Like, it, you know, I'm not really that fussed on it, apart from the new ones.
Yeah,
from the last
they were a bit of a slog.
4 years. Yeah.
Except for Rogue One, that was pretty lit. Right?
Yeah, that's the only one I could get around.
Yeah. I mean, I watched them all, but that was sort of almost out of like just a respect. Like, I need to like continue to watch them.
I skimmed.
But that's that. Yeah, I think, this is just to cap off this sort of like this twist or this like delineation or whatever. The second one has the second Star Wars, the Attack of the Clones, has a scene where they go to the planet where they're making the clones. And the planet is like totally like covered in water, except for these like beautiful sort of like round like pads that like situate the different domes that are on top of them that create like the above water stations that people live on or manufacture on it. There might be underwater ones as well, I don't know. They might go underwater, but the aliens that conduct all the work on there are some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I just remember as a kid just being like I don't know if I wanted to like fuck them, but like I actually like they're massive eyes and really long necks. Like, they look pretty scary. Like, and they have like blue skin. It's all very beautiful. Like, their eyes kind of look like almost like they have stars in them. Yeah. So anyways, enough about that.
All right. Well, let's jump to like, okay. Well, finishing up the kind of his attention to like material pleasures. I liked the like strawberry jam spoon. How he just kind of put it in his pocket. Like, I like the practicality of like dystopia, where, you know, he doesn't have some Tupperware. He just goes in the pocket and then he pulls it out and gives it a soul. He's like, taste this.
Yeah,
like, it's just been in his dirty ass pocket. Yeah, loved it.
I love how the woman whose apartment it was looked down and saw the plate missing the spoon and was just like, motherfucker, like, because she hid it, didn't she? She hid the jam.
She hid the jam and left the spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even this.
Oh, no, she went to hide it and then she got interrupted because he was like,
he like
come look at this.
Bashed on the door.
There was the like incinerator.
But But like even like the vegetables that he shows Saul afterwards, I just got the celery looks kind of limp and gross. And
Well,
like,
he's not that fussed on it. He's like meh. Like when they have
but he's
the
crying right now.
no, but I mean Thorne doesn't really care for it.
Yeah.
The what is it, like bok choy or something? I don't know.
It could be,
like,
yeah. It could be like a leek. I don't know. I thought it was
a
a piece
leek.
of celery.
Yeah, I think it's a leek.
Yeah.
Whatever. But he did like. I guess there's sort of, you could say it's alluding to like Soul overvaluing the old world there because
Well,
he's like,
he talks about it
like,
a little bit, doesn't he? Like, I think he
because today we're like lettuce, whatever. I'll put it in my sandwich.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't really matter if it's not there.
Oh man, the dip. One of the hardest decisions I ever make when I'm grocery shopping is cos or iceberg. Do I pick the cos lettuce or do I pick the iceberg? Because the cos I'm led to believe has more vitamins or nutrients or something in it, whereas the iceberg is predominantly water, but it has such a nice crunch to it. And also,
I don't really fuck with either. Like,
Oh, really?
I've got some right now, but I didn't buy it, and
Who's buying the
I'll
fruit?
get spinach or rocket. Like that's my greens. I don't know. You probably should have
Rocket is
all
like
of
the
them in your
king
diet.
of those sort of things.
Well, spinach is healthier apparently.
Really?
That's what people say. That's what I've been told. If it tastes worse, it's probably healthier.
I like that. I don't know whether or not that's true, but I like that. I mean, I like kale, and people seem to hate that.
What do you do? You think it's like it's sort of a it's a very 1970s thing that Soylent is like a combination of soy and lentil, and they controlled the food supply. It's like probably like more abhorrent sort of foods in the 70s, like.
Yeah,
it's like
that's good,
like
that's a good
to
point.
them that's peasant food kind of thing
Yeah,
back then.
yeah, like
So it's like like the name Soylent implies like evil corporation more than now. It's like soy.
Or
Like,
like,
I eat lentils and most people
soy
do.
products and
Most
stuff.
people,
If it's not milk, it's tofu or something. Yeah. I think that's fascinating. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Hey, I like the name Soylent, but it sounds gross almost. But
It's a shitty word. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's fascinating. I wonder if like there's like a unconscious. I don't even wonder. I feel like it's almost like concrete or like cement at this point, saying that like America has like a psychical investment or like an unconscious attachment to this notion of like eating meat, or like consumption of these things, like of these signifiers, right? Because like the rate of like the resources they go through in America just on eating, like it's crazy, right? Like, and
I haven't analyzed the data in depth.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's just like you see images of food in America, and you're just like, wow, why?
They do make some weird shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I don't have first-hand experience.
No, neither do I. I'd love to though, but like there is that like attachment to this sort of like macho eating style, right? I think it's changing. It might be changing. There might just be like enclaves. Like it might just be like, oh, there's fucking like Californians always eating like I don't know, beans or some shit instead of like a steak.
Yeah, I get.
That's not that different here
I
either.
think,
like,
yeah, I mean, I guess from the American podcasts I listen to, there is like you do get a hint of food racism kind of thing. It's like,
yeah,
if it's not fresh cut back straps from an elk that you just killed yourself, then you're not getting real meat.
Yeah,
and then like if you're not eating meat, then you're not getting real protein. Like you're getting shitty protein. And
on that grounds as well, like you know that it's gonna be funny because it's just like the real protein is always the argument, isn't it? But it's like it's more just like a sense of like eating another living being, surely. That like that you really get off on, like this is the like, although people don't really say it or whatever, like it's like the great chain of being, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, as long as I'm eating a cow, I'm still the master of the cows.
I get that.
Yeah. And I mean here now with this, like people don't seem, I mean they fetishize meat and stuff because like they kept the meat around, like maybe they don't even cook it, I don't even know, but like does Thorne eat the meat or do they just keep it?
Well, I think they make the stew out of it. They
Yeah.
make like some sort of like a beef stew.
Gross. The grossest way you could eat it, but probably the only way you could eat it in this time.
True.
But like,
Um.
I think we should certainly touch on this like food porn idea.
Well, I was gonna say, there's like, I bumped into this random guy at the park the other day. He was in his maybe 50s, early 50s, and he was like a businessman guy walking his dog. He said, he lived in Wuhan for
Keep your distance.
he lived in Wuhan for 3 years, and he was talking about. He was like, he was kind of upbeat, but he was like, he was talking about the fetishization of animal food in Wuhan in particular, and how like he literally said that the more sort of prohibited it is, the more valuable it is there. So it's a funny kind of offshoot to like that fetishization of certain animals, like rare animals, or things that for example, like blowfish or like poisonous types of fish that you need a license to to prepare
catch
properly, and then it's a delicacy.
I think that's true in terms of like animal or like the delicacy fetishization at any point, because like it sort of like harkens back to a superstition that like this piece of meat heals this thing, like rhino horn cures you of your like what is it called when you can't
that's what he said. He said that as well.
Get bonus? Impotence.
Yeah.
You get like
no, it means you're not fertile, right?
No, that's infertile. Impotent is like when you can't get hard. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Anyways, and that happens here as well. Like I think I think everyone always talks about like oysters, aphrodisiac.
Yes.
And like that's not really the case, but it totally makes sense because they look kind of vaginal, and you like suck them, like you're kind of like
and they have a fishy smell.
Well, yeah, sure, that as well. But you're showing this person this sort of like sublimated, simulated sexual experience, right? You're looking at them, you're like, so, you know what I mean? Like it is like
so there's no chemical aphrodisiac. It's purely the image.
100%. I reckon it's a simulated relationship.
Releases the chemical aphrodisiac from the
exactly.
image.
Like you could, and you're thinking like, oh shit, like, hey. That guy wants to go down on me. I'm with it. Like, you know what I mean? He sucks that oyster good, right? And like, that makes more sense to me than the idea that they actually have some sort of chemical that makes you hard or like horny. Because it wouldn't. Yeah.
We need a video version of this at some point. You can be star of the show. There's a dog mounting us.
But yeah, I think it's like, I think everywhere there's some sort of fetishization of food. And if it's not the fetishization of the food itself, it's the fetishistic disavowal of the food, right?
Yeah.
So like, you go the other way with disavowal, don't you? Like you go to the superstore or the market or whatever, and you, I guess to cap off what I was saying before, with the disavowal of food is just that like, instead of fetishizing it and making it something more than it is, the disavowal comes from like thinking that food doesn't come from like the living world, agriculture or whatever. It comes from like the supermarket. You go to the supermarket and like, I guess.
So all the dirty parts of obtaining the food are in the back, like
outside
of your mind,
like. Like I guess the first thing is like there's no labor. You don't know like. It doesn't seem like anyone's done this. It just sort of happens. You know what I mean? It's like a machine rather than people doing it. And then also, you don't think of packaged meat as like an animal,
Yeah, I get that. I mean,
it doesn't look like an animal
I
either,
think
though.
I do, but
yeah,
maybe that's because I have an association of thinking of it that way.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people like wouldn't want to like just be like everybody thinks this, but there must be some sort of psychical effect.
I get maybe it's like a vegetarian thing. Like if you're vegetarian, and me being like partially vegetarian, I guess like like when a vegetarian sees meat on the shelves, they sort of picture the dead animals.
Yeah.
When they see that, whereas a meat eater pictures like healthy meal, like
or
good,
maybe
like
satisfaction.
Yeah,
well,
like
that is the thing that I want to eat. I guess also in the sense of like people who are non-carnivorous, or plant-based in any way, is like you see the meat more. Like you see, like there's a whole meat section, but you see it more because you're like, this thing that I don't have or that I don't want, you're obviously going to associate it with the don't want. You know what I mean?
Definitely because I've sort of only kind of like made a bit of that transition in the last year or so.
Yeah.
Definitely, if like I can picture that, like I can see how that happened with my perspective. It's like now it's like that's the big red lit up section where I'm just like, well, I don't really need to go over there. Like, exactly. I don't really want to go over there, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's sort of funny as well, just sort of comparing it to the veggie section or the fruit section. Veggie section and fruit section look quite diverse, whereas the meat section, although it might be like tons of different animals, exactly, and it's in the freezer, like it's very
though not the fault of the meat, like
no.
It's like I guess you couldn't take it as a sign of like it's not as culturally diverse like as the fruit and veg section, but it's like
I don't mean
not like a point against meat. It's just like
no. I just think that the way it's been structured,
because meat is meat, it looks a certain color.
Yeah, exactly. But I think just also like you don't get the sense that there's like lots of different styles of meat. It's just kind of all meat. You know what I mean? Whereas like you look at different vegetables and they have like different colors and stuff. You're like, this probably tastes quite distinctly different from this.
True.
But my point really was just that the extremes of how food is treated, because like I think who's the Coldplay guy's wife? Is it Gwyneth Paltrow? I think it's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Could be.
She has some company or something like a blog or something that's like a clean eating blog.
Yeah.
And that's like total fetishization of food because it's all like clean eating.
That's like, have you seen Laird Hamilton's food company?
No.
It doesn't matter. I won't go off in that tangent, but yeah, it's similar. I've seen that that clean eating company culture kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just like rich people shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just another way to be like, money makes things better. Like more expensive stuff is better. You know what I mean? I don't really know whether or not the difference from like we had lettuce just outside your house.
Yeah.
Or like, a lettuce that Gwyneth Paltrow endorses like. Probably the same exact same
what
thing.
Special nutrients put in it.
But it's not the special nutrients, it's the fact that someone who has claimed themselves as like a self-help clean eating guru has said this is better.
Just tying it back to fetishization of food and because we were talking about the Soylent Green food bars that they have. And so I guess like you can understand how we come to fetishize food because it's so closely linked with survival and things like that. So it's like and like more nutritious food more closely linked with survival or strength in battle. Protecting your genes and all that. So like I guess it is, and that totally ties back to the whole like Wuhan food thing because that guy that was telling me about it, like they believe that these certain like exotic animals and stuff are like elixirs of life and they'll like cure all their ailments and all that stuff. So like it's kind of a funny irony how like if it wasn't created in a lab and it actually really did come from some idiot eating a bat or whatever, then it's funny how it's a funny irony how you get like mad people dying from people thinking that it would save them kind of thing. Yeah,
I think, if you have gods of life, you surely have gods of death as well. They have to be together, don't they?
True.
So, yeah. That's a good way to cap it off.
Anyway, Jack's going to do the shit. We'll catch you next week.